Oh, no, voice is going through. We can hear ourselves in there. Sweet. All right, well then, hello everybody. Brennan here.
Hey.
And welcome to the VGZ Podcast, episode 5 of season 4. I titled this the Bren's Back, So Good Luck episode. I don't know if you guys actually used the title last week, but I was not here last week. And neither was Rook, who was also joining us.
I was not,
evening.
no.
Last week was
spoiled
great.
the surprise, so good work.
Last week was
I
something.
aimed, please. It was. Well, I
It
hope
was
that
something.
I hope somebody does the recording at some point so I can
It is.
listen.
It is out of my hands. That is me wiping my hands.
Okay, well then I guess we'll
that
find out.
absolves you.
Anyways,
Nothing can wash that away.
also coming with us this week on this magical journey is DrChibi himself
Hello.
and Cali, who you heard from.
My hands are
Streaming for us
clean.
this evening. Yeah. Go get some more soap. And Donut is streaming for us, although he will be silent. But thank you for streaming for us this evening, Donut.
Love
so
you,
yeah,
Donut.
so I am back from the land of
Hurricanes.
the Mickey Mouse Death Squads. I successfully escaped the mouse gulag.
Yeah, how bad was the weather?
Oh, the weather was miserable. It was 90. It was like mid 90s the entire time.
You never truly escaped Brennan right now. You're existing in a simulation
No,
run by the Mouseketeers.
no. They said that the candy wasn't.
But have you noticed that nothing seems real now that you're back?
You're right. I mean, like the lottery is like a 1.6 billion dollars or something like that. So I think the number's just gonna keep going up.
I think billion is a bit of an exaggeration, but who knows?
No, it's
no.
billion.
Mega Millions is at 1.6 billion dollars right
Yeah,
now.
Well, fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going nuts over it.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna stop
pretty
by the
crazy.
gas station.
Yeah,
you
you
do.
should go buy your tickets. I already bought my tickets, and I already know I'm going to lose. Anyway, so I had a fun trip. I actually got to play in an arcade. We're just going straight into what we played recently.
An arcade?
Actually,
What's that?
Yeah, it's a big building with lots of games in it.
That
There was
sounds
actually
idyllic and
I know.
mostly mythical.
it actually kind of is nowadays, but surprisingly enough, at almost all of the resorts in Disney, they actually have an arcade 24/7 at each location.
But was it the one in the Marvel place?
No, so I was actually in the Art of Animation Resort, which was one of the budget part resort things. Like you had to take a bus to get anywhere. And it was pretty cheap all around. But anyways, the cool news was they had 3 pinball cabinets, including the newest. So all 3 of them were Stern ones. They had the Stern Star Wars, the newest Star Wars one, which is a great pin if you haven't played it. They had an Avengers machine, which was a little wonky, and they actually had a Tron pinball machine, which I actually knew existed but have never been able to play. I think they have one at New York in Las Vegas, but I just missed it the last time I was there. Yeah, so I got to play some of those, which was pretty great. They actually had a couple of classic cabs too, but nothing, no like fighting games or anything like that. It was like, Pac-Man and Galaga and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun to have at least a little bit of a reprieve. But yeah, I mean, it was 93 to 95 degrees every day, lots of sun, just like 9 miles of walking a day in the
No,
fucking
okay,
90
that sounds fine to me. I was also there last year, and it was raining the entire time. So it no water park adventures, no, it was, to me that's miserable. Rain the entire time. Sunny, I'm Texas boy.
Yeah, that's because you're a Texas boy.
90 degrees
If
is
rain keeps
perfect.
you out of the water park, you are weak as shit.
I mean, the thing was,
well, no, if it's a major theme park like that, then if there's thunder or whatever, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, they're gonna
Well,
shut
yeah,
down.
thunder, sure.
But the Sunday we got there, Kathy and I, we had to leave from here, where it was 42 degrees.
Yeah.
To go to a 95-degree heat, and I was in jeans because it was so cold in the morning that I couldn't. There was no way I was going to be able to wear shorts. and they didn't deliver our bags to our hotel room until the late evening. So it was pretty miserable in that heat. Anyways, I'm gonna stop bitching and moaning. Let's talk about what everybody else has been playing this week.
Before we get off the topic, does the
Oh.
East Coast have any sort of like pinball museum or like
Nope.
specific arcade? Nothing.
Well, okay, that's a lie. So
I've been to a pinball specific place.
there is a Fun Spot is in New Hampshire. That's sort of like the
Mhm.
the East Coast arcade, like the East Coast arcade museum equivalent, essentially. That's actually a stop for some people on the way to PAX East every year. I haven't made it up there, but that's a pretty well-known one.
Yeah, and there's a
I mean,
place out in Swansea that it's like a huge arcade.
Yeah, I mean there are a few here and there, but it's not like I know there's the National Pinball Arcade in Las Vegas, which
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah,
like,
nothing
legit.
cool like that.
And then there's
nothing at that
California
level.
Extreme, but like I just didn't know if the East Coast had anything of that nature.
The East
I
Coast
mean,
has nothing.
When MagFest comes around,
It's a terrible black hole.
when MagFest comes around, they load up that one building with a shit ton of arcade cabinets. But
Oh, yeah.
generally speaking, it's not.
No, I went to I just was like, hey, let me look up the word arcade in Google and see where it takes me. And I went to this one place in Gaithersburg. It was just a pizza place that had like 13 pinball machines. Some of them pretty new, like Lord of the Rings and AC/DC, just a bunch of random ones. But like we just wandered in and there's a tournament going on, and it was just a bunch of old dudes, and I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I'll get in when I can, and we'll play pinball. And it was weird. There's hot spots here and there.
Fair enough. Otherwise, for me, I've been playing MTG Arena the past couple of days. That's been that's bad. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, let's Cali. What have you been playing video game recently?
I was in the TCG hole. I understand.
Yes.
I did nothing yesterday except play The Missing. I just sat down and burned through it. That's the new sweary game. It just came out last week, I think. And the first thing you see when you finish that game in the credits is a sweary game, and I agree.
I did not hear anything about this until like 3 days ago.
It's
when you guys
way-
started talking about this.
It's way deeper than you would expect, but also it's got all the weird sweary shit in it, and also a lot of throwbacks to old games, like your character spends a lot of time holding a stuffed animal, whose name is FK. And there's just a lot of little like, that's a reference to Deadly Premonition. That's a D4 reference. There's not a lot, but there's enough.
Or spy fiction.
You know what? I don't know enough about spy fiction. One day I'll play that game. But I went through it in about 5 hours. It might have been less if I weren't dumb. There's a lot of puzzles. It's a puzzle platformer in the vein of like Limbo. But I'd say more puzzly than Limbo. And the main gameplay mechanic, I don't know if I should even talk about it, because it kind of like is one of the central themes of the game story-wise, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but it's interesting, and I liked it a lot, actually. It's $30.
It's full of sweary charm, but is it full of sweary jank?
I was playing on the Xbox One, and there was a fair amount of slowdown in spots, but that was on the console version, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But no actual like breakages or.
No, it's also like all, how Limbo just was kind of a one-shot thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that too. And just kind of going into the next section, there was a little bit of slowdown here and there, but other than that, it was, the game worked.
Interesting. Okay. Chibi.
Hi, yes, hello.
Have you been playing?
Well, I beat Fist North Star yesterday on stream. Was interesting. Yeah, like I said, I got to like see the whole saga, so to speak, and I saw the ending, which I'd never actually seen in the anime. And they reframed the whole thing in this weird sort of like brotherly love thing. I was like, okay, whatever, anime, that's fine. As a joke, I was gonna start up the second one immediately. I went because I found out there was a sequel to it, even though they already said everything in the main game. But it's still at $50 for the digital download, and it has about $135 worth of DLC, and it's all like characters and modes and stages. Yeah.
I've also
So
heard nothing but bad things about the second one.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm good.
We'll forgive you.
Oh, thank you very much. Besides that, not too much. Just my recurring stuff. The group online shooters, Division, Warframe, Monster Hunter. I'm playing a few things still off stream, trying to get them to New Game Plus, but yeah, nothing outside that yet. Been kind of busy.
Right on. Mr. Rook, have you been playing any video games?
Yeah, actually. After you spoke so highly of it, I went ahead and installed Magic Arena Online, and I gotta say, it meets my approval. It does just about all the things that it could do right. Very little wrong, aside from being unoptimized, and that's kind of strange for a card game.
Yeah, there's been some. There's definitely been some fun, weird things that have happened. One thing that a lot of people have been talking about is making sure that you reboot the game every couple hours.
Yeah, that's what I've run into. Is that
because of memory leaks or what?
Cruise slow down.
Yeah.
Until it just crashes in the middle of a reward cycle, and you will lose your reward.
Yeah, they. I think they took a nod from the Firefox devs on how to do memory management.
Just leak it.
Yeah, just leak it everywhere. Yeah, no, I definitely. I know I've run into some weird issues occasionally. But yeah, no, it works pretty well. I as I said, there's a reason why I've been playing a lot of it, and it's mostly because it's just kept my attention, which is.
What's the cost of entry?
0.
It's just a free download.
It's free. Yep. Every buying packs and getting into tournaments and stuff you can do with in-game currency, which takes you about
sealed.
Yeah, it takes you about a week to kind of build up enough to jump into that. If you're doing all your dailies and getting all the rewards you can. And packs are just awarded to you as quest completion things.
Yep. Yeah, you get
nice.
3. You can get 3 packs a week for 5. It's 1 pack for 5 wins. So if you get 5 wins, or you get 15 wins a week, you get all the packs. Every day you get a daily quest that is worth about 500 gold, and then there's a recurring daily quest which you can get up to. It's 850 gold because and a pack. No, 850 gold and then cards. Sorry, I always forget you don't get.
It's a free-to-play game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a standard free-to-play game sort of setup. I did end up dropping some money on it, but
it's like playing with all of the technical know-how of a level 2 judge, because it doesn't let you fuck things up.
Yes.
You can't skip parts of the game that are important. You can't fail to declare a target or do things in the right order. That right. I really like. There's so many comprehensive rules in Magic that it really benefits from automation.
Yes, will it remind you to not forget to play certain things or?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the more annoying or shady parts of the game, because it starts you off from the tutorial missions with this really easy mono-white deck, which is just you make dudes and you swing. And then it gives you 5 monocolor decks when you actually start the actual game. And if you play red and you draw a shock, it will stop you at every step and say, hey, do you want to enter this step? Hey, do you want to pass priority? And this will happen on your turn and on the opponent's turn. And sometimes you get confused, you lose track, and you're like, oh wait, am I skipping my declare attacker's step right now?
Yeah.
And you really have to pay close attention. So there's a big jump in learning curve there. But if you're familiar with Magic and you know what to expect, it'll be fine. It took me a long time to figure out how to concede a game, and I felt bad because I was basically forcing people to kill me very slowly. And then I figured it out, and that was cool. All the interaction is super polite because it's very limited, and it works. It just works. The collection deal, the whole like how collections are managed, is the only automation could do it this well. Basically, all of the cards you own, you can own up to 4 of each. And anytime you select a deck, it basically tears down all your other decks and applies whatever you need into that deck. So you don't need more than 4 copies.
Yep, which is great.
It just works.
It just works, which is why it works really well, because of it just working. As somebody who's played Magic competitively, it's really good. I think it definitely, the problem, like what Rick said, where it stops at every step when you have something in your hand, is a little bad, because it means that
it gives your opponent information.
Exactly. It gives information that if you were playing in paper, you don't necessarily give, because you don't have to follow those sorts of conventions when you're playing in paper. You can just pass the turn, basically, and not have to think about it. And your opponent has to wait for you to act.
And you don't skip it very quickly. They know you're playing mono red, you've got a shock. Or you're playing black, you've got some sort of kill spell. Yeah. And that kind of isn't good.
Yeah, it definitely is a little aggravating, but I think it's more of a minor complaint when the overall presentation is as good as it is. Much as I could go on about that game, that only took up a few days leading into last week, because last week I went down to Virginia myself. To see some family. So I didn't get a whole lot of video game playing in there, but I did the one thing that I think everyone should do if they go to Richmond, and that's go to the Colonial Shooting Academy and rent some machine guns. I thought you were going to say the Guar Bar.
No, but that was a lot of fun. I got to shoot some really cool guns and had a really great time.
But
I shot a P90.
My buddy owns a P90.
Does he?
Yeah.
Not a PS90. This is full auto. Short barrel.
It is the short barrel variant. You can't hold the trigger. Yeah, it's not a full auto. It's the
it's the PS90.
Okay. Well, he has one.
Well, good.
It costs a shit ton to fire. Don't do it in Vegas. It costs a lot in Vegas. Anyways, let's move on. Because there are video games to talk about. We got lots of games to talk about this week. Is the deluge continues in October. We had some releases last week, including Soul Calibur 6. But this week we have some big ones.
Oh, can we talk about Soul Calibur for a second? I did play that. That was a game I played.
Okay. Yeah, good.
I went to the place I do karaoke at, and also FGC dudes gather there sometimes and bring setups, and I got to play Soul Calibur, and I got shown a few things, and that game is good. That is a good-ass Soul Calibur game. Like, so much... It felt so much like old Soul Calibur that I was doing Soul Calibur 2 stuff. That didn't work half the time, but, like, enough of it worked to where I'm just like, oh, no, they're doing this. They're trying to, like... Yeah, no, it rebooted the Soul Calibur 2, and here's these Soul Calibur characters that you know and love from back then. And you can do most of the combos still. But then there's shit like Reversal Edge, and I'm still learning that stuff. But that game is fucking neat.
I haven't picked it up myself yet, but I have watched some streams of it. And it looks pretty fun. I remember watching the beta, watching people play the beta, and it looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it's in that Tekken spot where just like... streamers you wouldn't even expect are just suddenly like everyone's streaming it.
Yep.
Yeah, I was watching Maximilian. You can do this thing where you can go like hit randomize and you can look at people's creations, you know. And Maximilian was streaming it last night, just doing that, and he found himself and went nuts. And I thought that was funny as shit.
That's pretty funny. I've been having a lot of fun seeing the people. Post memes of things. If there was somebody posted a Magikarp. It was a Voldo.
Yeah.
They took his legs and
it was like a goddamn transformer.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked hysterical. Yeah, there's some funny stuff in there. All right, but yeah, so this week, lots of stuff being released this week. One of the big headliners, in my opinion, is Paw Patrol on a roll. Yes.
Insert Paw Patrol catchphrase here because I don't know what it is.
I do fucking find out, dude. I don't know. I don't follow that. No, but anyways, but really though, there are some great games coming out this week. They're so great that I don't actually have the list in front of me. There
Lethal League Blaze.
Yeah, Lethal League Blaze. And speaking of other fighting games, Windjammers gets its Switch release this week as well.
Yep.
The Stardew Valley port for iOS apparently comes out this week. Didn't even know they were making an iOS port of that.
Or why it would take this long.
Yeah, that is a good question. And then there is Nickelodeon Kart Racers.
Nice.
It's a pretty good one. That's definitely very highly anticipated. No, but seriously, obviously the big news this week, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out on Friday for the PC. Nope, just kidding. For the PS4 and Xbox One. PC release probably going to be like next year.
This is a big deal because I've been hearing about it at work, and I work at a hippie fucking food co-op in the middle of bumfuck Massachusetts, and people are shitting themselves for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. I mean, the first one is one of the most highly rated games in history, so I'm not too surprised. I'm excited. I will be streaming it hopefully the night it is released. I need to actually go and verify when I can pick up my pre-order from GameStop on Thursday.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What makes... Okay, I've never played Red Dead. I own it.
Okay.
I own it.
You should play it. It's like
what makes it...
It's my top 5 list of all time.
Okay, what makes it better than GTA? What makes it different than GTA? Real talk. Give me some real talk.
It's fucking... It is literally one of the only games that has ever, like, been a Wild West simulator. In the best ways possible.
I think Red Dead Redemption took a lot of cues from Gun, if y'all remember that.
I played Gun.
I played Gun and the original Red Dead.
I think it plays way better than Gun ever did.
It does. It definitely improves upon that format, but the theming is really on point.
I
think it has to be that thing I have to play it to like.
For me,
understand.
the writing of the main story had to be hooked all the way through, even in the little goofy times at the beginning, because you have to get through the beginning. The beginning is definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, but I think it builds the world in such a way that makes the game overall feel so much better. Because you're like, oh, I'm just a rancher doing rancher shit, and then, oh my god, there's a world. Like, the way it opens up the game is so well done, and it just leads into this story that just grabs you and keeps you in it until the end. And I just maybe part of it was where I was in my life at the time when the game came out, but I still felt that the story is one of the best stories told in a video game. Even though it's such a simple story, it's told so extremely well with just amazing acting in the voice department, and even with the little quirks that you get because the engine is busted up as all hell. I still think it's probably one of the greatest video games ever made.
Well,
like
if it's better than Gun,
a
then
bandit that makes wildcat noises and his fucking his textures wrapped around a mountain lion's skeleton.
Yeah, you got some stupid shit, but
no, that's fucking frightening, is what it is.
Yeah.
Also, it's like a lot of the world has a sort of sense of mythology.
Yes.
There's lots of it has its own sense of place. There's like towns everywhere, and they all seem kind of lived in rather than just set pieces.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like ignorance and meanness out there in the world, and the main character is kind of in a weird place where he's not really a good person, but he's just sort of like trying to be better for somebody else. And it's also at the very the very twilight of the Wild West.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see industrialization creeping in and things changing, and everything's becoming more like mundane and ordered and stuff.
There's even a fucking car in the game at the very end.
Yeah.
That's like like showing you how telling it is, because there's a big fucking city that shows up at the end of the game, basically, that you never see before the end of the game.
Yeah, and one of the later weapons is a magazine-fed pistol, as opposed to like all the revolvers you've been lugging around the entire time.
Yep.
All right. I'll if
Cali,
I
give
get
it a
around
shot.
to it, yeah.
Let me know when. I have it digitally with all the DLC on the Xbox. I will totally go online with you.
Yeah, I bought it when it first became backwards compatible because it was like $7, and I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
But I guess when that came out, I guess I just was doing. When did it come out? I guess I was just doing other stuff with my life. I don't know.
Fair.
Probably involved a dance pad.
I remember playing games with people in VGZ back in the day. The game came out in 2010.
Wait, people play games on VGZ?
Shut up.
Hearsay and rumor. It's all
Shut
slander.
the fuck up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the big release this week. There are some other releases that are of note, though, other than the ones that I was joking about earlier. The Castlevania Requiem of Symphony Night and Rondo of Blood. That actually comes out on the same day as Red Dead Redemption 2. Not that anybody will purchase it because
Konami will only re-release the stuff they have. Never make new games.
And also release them at the worst time possible. A lot of other companies actually moved their release days from today because as soon as fucking Rockstar announced that Red Dead Redemption 2 was coming out on the 26th.
How much is the Rondo?
No. I think it's only $20.
Oh, I'll pick it up then.
I think it's only $20. Maybe it's 25. It's either 20 or 25.
I'm gonna wait for the PC release of Red Dead, so this will give me something to play.
I will be buying it again when it comes out on PC, but I'm 100% buying it on day one to play, and I will stream it. Also, of note this week, the first DLC for Marvel's Spider-Man, called The Heist, comes out on the 23rd, as well as the official launch of Gwent, which also includes the Thronebreaker. Is it expansion or
Thronebreaker is like a new story game, but it's Gwent.
Oh, okay. Well, Gwent comes out officially on that day, but also on the 23rd, which actually is an interesting timing for this, is the open beta, or not open beta. I had to correct earlier Rook for saying open beta. The beta for the Xbox One of Fallout 76, which is exclusive if you pre-ordered. And next week, on the 30th, just to spoiler ahead a little bit, is the beta releasing on the PC and PS4. So Microsoft paying for exclusivity for the Xbox, but not for the PC.
Against its own fucking platform, no less.
Yeah.
I just looked on Facebook. Dance Central came out in 2010. That's what I was doing.
Well, Just Dance 2019 comes out October 23rd as well.
Damn.
Fuck that game.
Okay. But yeah, no. So,
hey, Brennan. Sorry. Speaking of betas, you got into the Google streaming one, right?
Yeah.
I did too. I still haven't touched it. I just haven't had time. Have you?
Yes. I've put about 10 hours into it.
Oh, is it supposed to be the Twitch killer?
No. This is not that sort of streaming.
Think on live. Think streaming games to you from the cloud.
PlayStation Now, but Google Chrome.
Didn't they try that already?
A bunch of companies have tried it already.
Yeah.
But this is Google, and they're doing it HTML5 through the browser.
Yeah,
so you can play it in any browser.
That's weird.
So hold on. Let's just finish up with the rest of the games for the week.
Sorry.
Actually, that was it.
All right.
So those are the games coming out this week. But yeah, so let's talk Project Stream, and then we'll get into the news. Since I got into it and I can talk about it a little bit. I read the documents. There is no non-disclosure agreement, as far as I can tell. So just to briefly talk about it. It works astonishingly well. The game, it encourages you to try plugging in a controller, which I have not done yet. I have just been using mouse and keyboard.
You monster.
I have had some instances more recently, as in like yesterday and today, actually, when I was playing a little earlier, of slowdown in a weird way. So when the game slows down in Project Stream, because it's just for note, It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey is what I have access to. I have access through January of it through the browser. I'm not allowed to keep anything in the game, basically. So once I'm done, it basically just goes away, is from what I can tell. So no save files, nothing like that. It's mostly just to test out the service. So, but I'm probably going to try to beat the game through it because then I won't have to buy the game, which will be nice. But yeah, so the weird things is when like you have the lag, like, and I'm pretty sure it's probably on my side. One thing it does when you launch it every time, it does a connection check to see how fast your connection is, and I'm assuming latency as well. But when it slows down, the last 2 times that's happened, the game like gets all pixely like a bad like YouTube stream, but I'm still controlling it fine.
That's weird.
And so it just abandons all textures?
Yeah, it like slowly turns this jargled mess of textures, but my command, like it happened once in a cutscene, and when it happened in the cutscene, it was almost as if it was a YouTube video, but also the graphics toned down at the same time, so I thought that was really weird. But then
so it was just reducing your download speed.
Yeah, something like that. But then the second time it happened, which was today when it happened, I was running. I was running like up to in a town or whatever. I wasn't being pursued. I wasn't actively like attacking anybody. But my controls felt fine, but the game got fuzzy. And it was really weird because I was like, that's odd. Like almost as if my computer couldn't keep up with what was going on. You know, if it was like, you know, my graphics card wasn't powerful enough to run the game temporarily or something.
Weird. Is it bypassing your graphics card?
No, it's in browser, so I'm assuming it's using some sort of GPU acceleration.
Okay.
As to the nature of it,
bye, Donut.
We lost Donut. That's fun. The Donut just disconnected from the world. Did he disconnect from? He went to AFK.
Still going. Yeah.
He went to AFK. I'm dragging it back in here. All right, I dragged Donut back in. That was funny. We're back. Don't worry. I saved everything. It's all good. AFK dragged him out. Okay. Back to what I was talking about. Yeah. So the one thing I think of interest is that the game doesn't seem to do any. It's weird. The graphics are. I think it's running at 900p. Because it runs in a letterbox. I haven't messed around with the graphical settings, but I didn't think there was any the last time I looked. I think they're just not there. Like it looks like it's in the option, like it's a traditional options menu, but it's definitely not there. And the game actually looks like it's specifically like it knows it's in a Google like window. It doesn't it knows it's in a Google window, which makes sense, but at the same time, it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think about. You know what I mean? So yeah. So overall, I mean, I've had a fairly surprisingly positive experience. I would not be surprised if it's something that happens going forward, which is unfortunate. As somebody who collects physical video games, I don't like it. Because of all the things that it sort of allows to happen. You know, games get like, and we've seen this throughout. This is almost like a segment of the week discussion. But you know, it's like all the things that we see with games that have online connectivity in some way, shape, or form that get changed. You know, Grand Theft Auto 5 loses the license to some music, so they change all the music in the game. Or in the case of like San Andreas, where on the Steam version of San Andreas they changed all the music. Or you know, in the remakes of Crazy Taxi, where they don't have Offspring, like or games that disappear entirely off of digital services. You know, like it sort of reminds me of when stuff gets removed from Netflix, which I always have never liked that idea of. So it's one of those things where it's like it works well, and as good as that is, it also sucks because I know what that means, and I don't want that to be what's going to happen in the future as much as I know it's going to be what it's.
I mean, at some point, are we going to become the vinyl people? Where
I'm already there, so.
Well, I meant with games where like we insist on like tracking down that limited, like physical release as opposed to just getting it digitally.
I already do. I already buy limited run games releases of Switch games.
Listen, as long as I can download the game, I'm fine. As long as it can be a thing sitting on my hard drive that I don't have to stream.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, maybe there's like a local like install or like a local like bin cluster, but a lot of it will be coming from somewhere else. Is the problem.
And tired size over here.
I mean, I think Project Stream, it's just directly through the browser, right? No install.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No install. There's no. It's straight through Chrome. You have to have Chrome version 69 or higher, I think.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So I mean, as I said, it's definitely, unfortunately, one of those things where it's like it's really nice, and that makes me really sad because I know where we're going to be in 5 years because of it.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, donut. But remember, also the Wii was a mess in terms of multiple eShops and no accounts, and hopefully it'll get better going forward because they'll track your stuff. But yeah, that was awful.
Yeah. But speaking of, and I'm going to use this as a segue. Speaking of being a curmudgeon, Analog. Analog's a pretty cool company. They originally started off with the Mini NT, which was a really cool console.
Pricey.
It was pricey, but it was a reference. What they're actually, and they call all of their products actually reference products, which I think is a great way to call it.
Legally distinct.
Legally distinct. No, like reference product, like as in that this is like the definitive version of the hardware. They use an FPGA, which is a field programmable gate array, which is essentially taking
it's
a
archive
processor.
equivalent and testable.
No, it's like taking it. Basically, it's like taking a. It's making a processor think that it's a different type of processor.
Oh no, I know what FGA. I meant like reference in terms of like it, like as opposed like putting it next to an actual hardware set will give you the same sort of output.
Yes.
Like testable. Yes.
Yeah. Earlier this year, Analog released the Super NT, which was a HDMI outputted FPGA running Super Nintendo hardware, basically. So you could put in a Super Nintendo game and it will put it out pixel perfect via outbound via HDMI. And it's pretty great. It's about $190. I need to pick one up at some point. I haven't yet, just due to things. But definitely one of the greatest products that's out there if you want to experience old games. But then this week was the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which is one of the biggest retro gaming expos in the United States. Analog has announced the Mega SG, which is a Sega Genesis in the same vein. So it's FPGA that will play the entirety of the Genesis / Mega Drive library and the Master System libraries, and also has an edge connector, so you can actually plug it in to a Sega CD and be able to do Sega CD shenanigans. Now, unfortunately, it will not run
ever.
No, it will never ever run 32X games.
Well, what do we lose? We lose Doom.
They might make an adapter at some point.
That Star Wars game.
Make an adapter at some point.
I think most of them that mattered were
Zero Tolerance,
dual Sega CD and 32X.
Chaotix. You don't have Knuckles Chaotix.
So nothing that mattered.
Yeah.
So wow. I have a question about this software and hardware thing.
Yes.
How does it scale on widescreen TVs?
So it uses. There's actually. So I don't want to butcher. I don't want to butcher their whole thing. There's actually a really good video that My Life in Gaming did about the Super NT that I would refer you to. because they actually did a full interview with Kevtris, the guy who makes it, and they discuss how all the things that they did. It does some pixel line doubling, and it does all the fancy shenanigans stuff that you would expect to get in sort of that, to be able to do that to be able to do it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would strongly suggest that I'm trying to find it real quick if I can.
So it's not going to letterbox?
It can if you want it to.
Oh.
It'll do whatever you want. It'll do a lot of different fun things.
Like
That's
filters.
Yep, there's fun. You can do fun filters with it. You can change the colors. It's pretty crazy, the extensibility of what it can do. But I definitely, as I said, I would definitely suggest watching either My Life in Gaming or Digital Foundry's videos on the topic, because they explain it a lot better than I ever could, and how it is good. And also the little bit of the little bit not so amazing pieces, but for the most part, I mean, they're wholly positive about it. There's very little to be negative about with regards to it. It's great.
All right.
Yeah, also some of the best scan lines you can get on an HDMI output, which I'm sure Donut would be very excited to hear, considering how much Donut loves scan lines. But yeah, so very exciting stuff. It is already up for pre-order. You can pre-order it on their store. It is available in 3 colors at launch, or 4 colors at launch. One of which I'm assuming will be the white one, will not be available post-launch because the clear one previously was taken off. But it's available in the US, Japan, Europe styles, which all the appropriate, like, there's a little bit of a color change between the consoles in the United States compared to the Japanese one, compared to the Japanese Mega Drive and the European Mega Drive. If you pre-order it, they do give the Master System game adapter in the box, which is kind of neat. Yeah, no, I if you have any interest whatsoever in this, I strongly suggest it. From everything I've ever read about their stuff, it's sort of the best. As I said, I'm going to pick up a Super NT probably within the next 3 months or so, and I'll probably pre-order one of these because I actually have a decent-sized Mega Drive collection at this point, although I need to find me a Sega CD at some point.
And about how much do those run?
What?
The
Sega CDs?
No, the
NTs and the SG.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did I mention price? $190. $189.99.
That's not too bad.
No, it's pretty solid. A equivalent console plus HDMI plus installation setup would be somewhere in the $200 to $300 realm already, and that's on original hardware, which you probably want to also get recapped. And since this is an FPGA, you can get updates. In the past, they've had in the Super NT, you can actually get separate cores to be able to run like NES games on it.
I have
in various fun ways.
It beats the insanity of having to deal with SCARTs and extenders and all kinds of custom cables and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you get out of this hobby grade BS as opposed to just emulating this kind of thing?
A use for your physical cartridges that you already own.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the day. Like, yeah.
So
I can
if
emulate
you're
it,
holding on
but-
to the past, it's
Which you should.
So
be.
I mean, I think personally, it's the fact is that it allows me to play as close to original hardware as I can on more modern stuff, where it's a lot harder to justify the cost of like moving a giant fucking CRT from place to place.
Right.
Like that's hard.
And the other thing is emulators, like what you have access to changes. Like Cool ROMs and stuff blew up overnight, and everybody was pissed. Like,
well, it's their fault for not downloading that
rely.
entire.
And
torrent.
also, emulation isn't perfect.
yeah, it has a lot of.
Can't you
issues.
make it perfect though?
I mean,
People
we're waiting forever for them to make a fucking Genesis emulator that's perfect, and we still don't have one. Hegan is
okay,
like as
perfect by
close as
what
you
standards?
can get. Like not having to fucking hack the shit out of the fucking code to make it run a game.
I've emulated Genesis games plenty of times in the past, and like the games work and look like Genesis games. I guess.
Okay. I mean, it's not for you. Clearly, it's not for you. If you're not interested in the idea of it, it's not for you.
Yeah.
But for people like me who has a giant collection of physical cartridges that I like being able to utilize,
that
this
are
is
gonna
my
fail
jam.
eventually, though. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Everything's gonna fail eventually, Cali.
Yeah. No, life is meaningless.
Yeah, like let's go all the way down that road, buddy. Like this is what I'm into. I'm into retro gaming, so something like this is exactly what I want.
I'm into the anxiety about the heat death of the universe, so that's what I'm into.
You should find out a way to get a fucking rocket ship to the sun, my boy.
On that note,
speaking of rocket ships into the sun, I don't have a segue.
Shenmue.
Oh no, I do. EA. I was gonna say EA. Shenmue is a good one too.
Or
Rocket. I mean, any of those work.
Yeah.
So EA. Who remembers the EA press conference this year at E3?
The Rivals one? I remember it.
I fucking hated EA so much. EA is the worst bag of dicks ever, and we've talked about it multiple times on this podcast.
Okay, for anyone who doesn't remember, EA said there was going to be a big announcement. Everyone got interested. Said it was going to be Command & Conquer related. People got, like, excited.
Yes.
And then the day came, and they announced Command & Conquer Rivals, the phone game.
A phone game. A literal fucking Clash Royale clone.
The backlash was instantaneous.
y'all remember that Dungeon Keeper?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a piece of shit. It was fucking stupid. Like...
But it had a really catchy rap jingle.
It was fucking EA's fault that Command & Conquer 4 failed fucking miserably, and nobody else's. Nobody else's fucking fault. And they said they heard us because they apparently say to celebrate the upcoming 25-year anniversary, there will be a remaster of the original Command & Conquer. A la probably like what they did with StarCraft.
And they've deigned not to include microtransactions.
Yeah.
Lucky us.
Lucky us. I don't know what microtransactions you could add to a remaster of the original Command & Conquer.
I don't know, skins,
I
voices.
guess. Sure. I guess. I don't know. I can't really think of
Maps.
too much. But whatever stuff...
Well, what happened was one of the leads, his name's Jim Vasella, I think. Basically made an announcement after this game, after the official announcement, made a secondary announcement, said, "Hey, yeah, I know, we hear you. We know people weren't jazzed about the original. We're looking to find a way to preserve Command & Conquer for this current generation to remaster and release it again." He put that out there, and then immediately people were going "All right, loot boxes, microtransactions, what's going to be in there?" And he straight up said, "No, we're going to keep it clean. We know you guys are unhappy. We're just gonna put it out there, and it'll be what you remember from before."
I mean, for fuck's sake, all they have to fucking do is get the fucking Command & Conquer 10th Anniversary Collection to fucking work on Windows 10, and I think most people would be happy.
I had to go to about 3 different college, network shares, go through 4 levels of sites, talk to people to find the proper fan hacks and modified patches to get to get my stuff running. And Tiberian Sun runs at this tiny postage stamp resolution.
Yep.
At the time, I just want
it
that
originally
shit
ran at that.
That's all.
Yeah. No, it's dumb. The thing is EA is almost as bad as a Capcom or Konami when it comes to its old franchises. It just fucking lets them die and then doesn't come back to them ever.
Or Sony. I mean, just very recently they've started actually having some sort of drive to bring their old stuff back.
Yeah, let's not talk about. I don't want to talk about Sony. I
Okay,
don't want to talk
fine.
about fucking Sony with their shit. Fucking
All
history
right.
backwards compatibility. Where the fuck? Anyways, so that's EA. Speaking of HD remixes, Shenmue. So everybody remembers the Shenmue remake that has gone and went at this point.
I don't.
Oh, well, it came out.
1 and 2.
Did it?
1 and 2 came out. Yeah, it's on
Okay.
PC even.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I was watching. Eris has been.
I streamed it.
I've Yeah, no, everybody is just sitting there playing the slots. Everybody.
Yeah. Anyways, so the remake pretty cool. If you haven't played it, it's pretty great. It just reminder that Shenmue is barely a game. But it has some great pieces to it, and I'm excited for when 3 finally makes its release at some point, so we can at least finish the Rio trilogy. But anyways, apparently there was some leaked out of a totally overhauled version of Shenmue that was apparently in the works. I guess in the process of the HD remake. There's actually a video Digital Foundry did. Unfortunately, it actually looks really fucking good, which makes me actually a little sad. Because it looks so much better than what we ended up getting. Like the HD remaster, I will say the HD remaster is nice, good even. But this looked fucking awesome, and it's kind of hard to like give it justice without looking at the video. I strongly suggest giving it a watch.
I'm looking at stills, and this is actually high
miles
def.
ahead. Yeah, miles
There's
ahead.
lighting effects and details and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. So I would strongly suggest giving that video a watch if you haven't. It was on Kama Sutra, and I think it's definitely one of those things that I kind of wish that it came out in that way, but I understand why they probably didn't want to spend that much money on it. Hopefully it sold well enough that they kind of realize their mistake and in the future do something better for somebody else, but we'll see. I have no real hope that that's ever actually going to happen. But yeah, Shenmue, any thoughts, comments?
Yakuza is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the 2 series I've played Yakuza, I know Shenmue's really important to people, but it was a little before my time of weird, obscure Japanese
I played
narrative games.
Okay, can I tell you about my history with Shenmue?
Tell us.
So I played the first one on Dreamcast. I played through the first one. And
Did you emulate it?
No, I didn't.
Wait, you never played it?
I was a young Cali on the spot with the Dreamcast, getting in that Soul Calibur action, and I also had Shenmue. And I played through Shenmue, and then they announced Shenmue 2 for the PlayStation 2. I had an ad for it, and like young Cali was very hyped for Shenmue 2, and he was a PlayStation kid also. So when they announced that they were putting out on Xbox, young Cali was pissed, and I never played Shenmue 2. That's my story.
Because Shenmue 2 is actually, I think, the better game personally. And it came out on Xbox, and I have a copy on the Xbox, and I have a copy of the European release.
I have the Xbox one. Never played them, but I have them for the Xbox.
Because for some reason it did release in Europe in English for the Dreamcast. But because Microsoft bought the exclusivity rights, they did not release it for the Dreamcast in the US, even though they were basically all but ready to.
Yep, young Cali's hopes were dashed as far as Shenmue 2 was concerned.
You could blame Microsoft, except that you fully support Microsoft, so I don't know.
No.
Except only yes.
It's only somewhat true.
I have feelings. I have feelings about Microsoft, and I will. Basically, the Domatric era ruined a lot of things, and they've spent a lot of time making up for that.
And I feel they have to a certain extent. Like they've done really well, but since then, and, like aggressively so.
But nobody can let go of that bullshit feeling from the launch, and I don't blame them because all they see is Microsoft. Microsoft did this, and it was mostly the leadership's fault, and they're gone now. And it's my boy Phil Spencer, up in the spot,
working his ass off.
Yeah, he's
24/7.
He's done a lot of good for them, and a lot of people will never forgive Microsoft for the things they did with Always On. Like I've talked to people as recently as this year that still think it needs to be online, and it fucked up a lot of things for their goodwill.
Or the Kinect requirements and
Yeah, no, they fucked up the launch. They fucked up the launch, and it fucked up a lot of people's goodwill with them.
And then went to work for Zynga.
They
Yeah.
pulled a Sony.
Yeah, Sony's starting like
Yeah.
Yeah.
starting to crawl back out of that hole slowly but
you're
surely.
trying
Just
to
like,
push that meme, Brennan. It's not
hey,
working.
No,
hey,
it's-
you know what? We actually
it-
like Fortnite. We actually
it's
want you to
cyclical.
play Fortnite.
It's literally it's exactly what Chibi said. It's fucking cyclical. Sony destroys the fucking gaming industry with the PS2. Nobody stands to the PS2. And what do? They fuck up a PS3 launch that they could have just run over the industry all over again.
$599
Xbox
US.
Shitty console. And instead, yeah, exactly. So Microsoft went, all right, well, let's release the Xbox 360. It's a better console, less complicated to program for. People are going to want it. It's less expensive. It goes online better than Sony's product does. And so the 360, that entire generation, owns that generation all the way through.
Yep.
And then what happens? Their hubris gets the better of them when they release the Xbone. And what does Sony do? Sony gets wise and makes a PS4 that isn't hard to program for, and their system works a little better, so people flock to it. And now we're going right back into that hubris with the Fortnite shit and so on and so forth. It's cyclical.
And Sony internally is fighting each other, like the different offices. So it's not a good look right now for them.
Yeah. So, like, yeah. But yeah, anyway, so that was a fun conversation. Let's talk about layoffs.
Do we have to?
Well, we'll make a brief mention. Developer 6 Foot, which is the company behind the game Dreadnought, which I've never played as much as
I've
talked
played
about
it. It's
It's pretty fun.
Wait, did that
it's
come
kind of
out?
like a it's
Yes.
capital ship MOBA sort of.
Yeah.
I like that game. I just don't play it that often.
I know Deadpool was hot about it before it came out.
Yes, he was.
It doesn't have the customizability that they really promised up front.
Mm-hmm.
It's
No.
a little limited. Classes are a bit more rigid and a little strange. Like you can have a medic ship, and they literally call it that. It's not like a repair scow or a salvaging ship. It's called a medic ship, and that's weird. And
The
instead
medic
of,
ship.
instead of it being called like a support ship, it's a sniper. Like they got really lazy with it.
Also, it soft launched, around the same time as a different capital ship-based MOBA called Fractured Space, and they were both sort of eating each other's lunches back and forth, and that didn't help at all.
No.
Yeah.
But yes,
so-
back to the
But it
announcement.
does look good and it plays well.
Yes.
So
well,
if-
that's unfortunate because they've reduced a third of their game dev workforce.
yeah, sure, but the game's already out. Like whatever.
Yeah, I understand, but you know, it's a it just released actually officially 4 days before the launch of this article, which was on October 18th. So literally 7 days ago. So 7 days ago, they laid off a bunch of workers. Or no, it released, and then 4 days ago they laid off a bunch of workers.
I guess the part we can note more about the story is the fact that, in contrast to say certain other studios that closed recently, management took everyone aside and went, "Look, we're on the line here. Anyone wants to take like semi-permanent leave, and we'll bring you back if it gets better. You can. If you want to jump ship, we'll pay you this much, and we'll get our like hiring department to find you stuff somewhere else. Like, just make your decision. We'll go with what happens."
Yeah.
They at least tried to work with people, let everyone know ahead of time. Yeah, it's bad.
At least a lot more amicable than another company that we've talked about previously. But definitely never a fun story to talk about. Especially since they basically gave all of the people like 2 days, 3 days to make a decision. No, 2 days to make a decision. So, basically, if they didn't remember to tell them, they just got laid off instead. So that part kind of sucks. Definitely sucks anytime that sort of situation goes on. Never cool, but yeah, that happened. Let's talk about more fun things. Oh wait, no. This story isn't more fun. Dirty Bomb. which is such a great name. I really think they probably should have made a different name. But I guess from a company called Splash Damage,
Which,
Dirty Bomb.
if you're a shooter fan, you may know from quite a few other things.
Yes, they've made quite a few games. And just to give you an idea of how great their pedigree is, such great hits as Brink and Quake Wars, Enemy Territory.
And Enemy Territory. They were good.
And I mean, they did make Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and they did do stuff on Gears of War 4.
Like
Yeah,
effects
everyone's
passes.
still talking about
Batman
that.
Arkham Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually
the
like
best of the Batman games.
I also actually enjoyed Brink, but unfortunately, Dirty Bomb, which was their latest venture, is no longer. Well, they tried to get as much as they could done, and they're done. There is no more. The future is no longer.
They're not supporting it anymore,
Yes.
which isn't to say that it's going to go away. They turned it over to community servers, and
Mm-hmm.
they've just they said they gave it a little kiss on the forehead, and they pushed the reed basket out into the Nile, and whatever happens happens.
And the Three Kings will not be visiting.
No, that was Jesus and not Moses. But yeah, we're in the same biblical territory now.
Yeah.
Anyways, if I may, we know that many of you love DB and still play it religiously, so we will keep servers up for you to enjoy, as long as there are meaningful numbers of players using them in supported regions. So the servers will stay up. People can play, but the
There's
second it goes down
ambiguous
to like
number. Yeah.
yes, as soon as it hits that metric, be it like a dozen or 5 dozen or whatever, yeah, they're just gonna pull it.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at their Steam chart numbers, they had 1,000 players in the last 24 hours at their peak. All-time peak was 12,000 players.
That's not bad.
Average players in the last 30 days, though, is 650.
That's bad.
Yeah.
So
Still not Lawbreakers numbers, but
not Lawbreakers numbers. I will give you that. They did better than Lawbreakers.
So yeah, the studio's around. It's gonna keep doing things, but this game, it lives and dies by how many people keep the dream alive.
Yep. So,
So then
we'll see them dead in about 3 months, probably. But yeah, so that's a sad story. Do I have a nice story to talk about finally?
nope.
Probably not.
No. So Borderlands 2. I mean, that game was was pretty all right, right?
Yeah.
The ultimate single player experience.
No, I thought that was a multiplayer game.
Well,
Well,
you thought wrong.
I apparently thought wrong because
No. The Borderlands 2 VR is a single player game
Yes,
only.
that's
Yeah,
what we were getting to.
that was the joke we were gonna make.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chibi. I
Yes,
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome.
you stole it,
So they are making a virtual reality version for PSVR.
which sounds really cool.
Sounds really cool. It comes out this December, which is actually December 14th. That's actually pretty soon. Unfortunately,
You will not
The
be
re-
able to play it with your friends.
you will not be able to play it with your friends. It is single player only. Will allow for some fun things. They're gonna have a badass mega fun time mode, which allows you to slow the speed of the game to carefully plan attacks. So
Yeah,
it's
bullet time.
It's VATS. Like you get VATS. But yeah, no multiplayer. Single player only for VR. And it'll only come out. It's only going to be on PSVR. According
It's
to this
gonna do
announcement.
weird things to like, whatchamacallit, support skills.
Yep.
So they're gonna have to remap that stuff.
Yep.
Maya's res ability is now gonna do a weird.
Splash damage.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. So they're going to fundamentally change some things to make it work in VR. Solo.
I played through all of Borderlands 1 by myself.
Is it because you didn't have any friends at the time?
No, I played with people, and like they just kind of bum rushed everything, and it wasn't a fun experience.
I played Borderlands 1 both by myself and with friends. I would not play Borderlands 2 by myself.
That game was not.
It would be impossible.
Then I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have other people distract me from.
I
the
fucking
game.
pre-ordered Borderlands 2 because I love Borderlands
did
1
I.
so much, and I got the edition with the
100%ed Borderlands 1.
Same, and all the DLC.
Yeah.
I even
and
did
DLC.
that claptrap shit. Yeah, that was the worst. But yeah, Borderlands 2, like, they made it more of an MMO than it already was, and it just wasn't fun to play, even though it had like more story. It was clearly made for multiplayer as opposed to like being able to play it on your own like the first one. I didn't enjoy.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just didn't enjoy playing it. Like after I got to the part where what's his face gets kidnapped.
That guy.
The soldier guy.
Yeah.
I played one both solo and online. I did not really play much of 2 because the humor was stuck in 2011, and I wasn't really into that at that point.
Well, we've talked about the reason why the writing was bad before.
And I don't know if I want to be stuck in a VR environment with Claptrap. I think I'd actually rather not.
Yeah, you
I
do.
played 1 and 2 with Floppy and Silver. So all of that was multiplayer. It definitely seemed like the way it was intended.
Yes. It was definitely intended to be played. So I think it was definitely intended to be played multiplayer. I think that I think we can pretty much agree on. Like, it works as a single player game, but it definitely was designed with the idea of having 2 or 3 people with you.
Number 2 was the only one I felt like it necessitated you repeating quests multiple times.
Yeah, this is that stuff I've complained about why I don't play MMOs. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I don't play MMOs for. So maybe that's what turned me off. Just the grindiness, at least the feeling of grind on it. I don't know.
No, there was definitely some grind.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's kind of weird to make a game that I think the game is more well known to be multiplayer, and so it's weird that they wouldn't make the VR game also be capable of handling multiplayer, considering that you can do VR in multiplayer and it's been done.
Maybe they'll release it as an expansion.
Maybe.
Also full priced.
Possibly. All right, let's move on. Who watched the Mega Man cartoon when they were younger?
I did.
Yeah. Yes.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It wasn't great.
You should feel.
Remember,
bad.
it came on, and also the Iron Man cartoon. I think that was
that
actually
was
worse.
neat.
Yes,
I like the Iron Man.
probably
It had Force Works. I was down for that.
Yeah. Okay. It's I love Alpha Flight. Yeah. Okay.
Alpha Flight's not bad either. I didn't watch
That's okay.
I only watched the Fantastic Four one once or twice. That one had Brian Austin Green in it. It wasn't great.
Oh my god.
Well, while y'all are being nostalgic, nobody is nostalgic for 6:30 a.m. on Sundays, which is where the newest.
That's when Robotech was on.
That's when the newest Mega Man series was.
Mega Man
I use the word
charged.
was. Yes, Mega Man Fully Charged was at 6:30 a.m. on Sundays.
Ran out of juice.
But it is no longer. No reschedule, no mid-season break. Just removed from the schedule entirely.
Lost his last E-Tank.
Apparently, new episodes are still coming out and available on if you have a U.S. cable provider. But
it's become one of those web series things.
And now it's basically just gone.
People just noticed. The only reason we know is people just notice. Hey, where is it?
Yeah, somebody who actually woke up to watch it at 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday.
The one
woke
guy.
up 6:30. He woke up at 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and it wasn't playing. It was probably some crappy other Cartoon Network show that I can't think of off the top of my head. I don't know any other.
Something bad. I don't know.
Something bad.
Man,
Technoman was on Sunday.
you know what was on super late at night that I watched all the time. I actually stayed up till late. Was that Dot Hack anime? The
I watched
Twilight Bracelet.
I watched the shit out of Dot
That was
Hack.
always on at
I
like.
love Dot Hack. It was great.
It was like the chibier one, Twilight Bracelet. The one that actually had the main characters were Kite and Black Rose, but different.
Sign.
No. Sign is a different one. Sign was like the more popular one. Twilight Bracelet.
That was the one I watched.
Twilight Bracelet was like there were new
Legend
kids.
of the Twilight?
Yes, Legend of the Twilight Bracelet. I had the manga for it and everything, and it was it was always on at like midnight or 12:30 on fucking Cartoon Network.
I remember watching Sign.
It was more based on like the PS2 games, I think, because it had a bunch of those characters.
Well, late night was the anime block like before.
Yes.
Do you guys remember Scried?
I remember the name. I never saw it.
It was bad. Anyway.
Like Fruits Basket.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen
It was just another one of those shonens, another like dudes with powers, except this one was like robot arms.
It's exactly what it was.
It's just like even back then I was like, oh, it's one of these. Fuck this.
That's great. So
Sorry, what were we talking about again?
we're talking about the crappy Mega Man cartoon that is no
Okay.
more. So I guess we can no more this conversation and move on.
Oh, but it's doing so well.
Speaking of things that are no more, did anybody remember? And I played it, but does anybody remember Dust 514?
I saw it at
No.
E3 2012.
It was
I
an
never played
Eve Online based shooter for the PS3, exclusively the PS3,
Yes.
and it had cooperation, so you could have like people from Eve actually help out. I remember because I was part of a corp, and my character was in the Eve corp and also in the Dust corp, and it was neat. I played it with Brightside a bunch.
Corp.
Were you there for the great like apocalyptic
No.
nuclear bombing?
No, I did see YouTube videos of it. But speaking of it, they decided that they wanted to redo it again. Except this time it'll be PC exclusive, and it's called Project Nova. And it's basically going to be the same fucking thing.
Yeah, let's just
So
do it again.
don't get attached to it because it's going to go away in like 2 years.
Hooray!
Can't
just
win,
letting you
don't
know.
try.
Just letting you know. No, I mean, I actually really like I love the EVE Online universe. I hate CCP because they do stupid shit like this where they're like, hey, we got this really cool fucking thing, it's gonna be great, and then we're gonna just fucking destroy it in 2 years.
I like it from a distance.
Yes, that's exactly what you should like it from. You should like it from a distance.
If they make it free, like Eve, I will play it.
It'll probably be free, and they'll probably microtransaction the fuck out of it, like they did with Dust. Dust was microtransaction all hell. If
I
you
can
want
handle that.
rifle, you had to pay for microtransactions. But also, it wasn't that great. It was also pretty not. It was a not great first person shooter in a time frame where there was a lot of good first person shooters running around.
Sure,
It was
you can't
an
afford to do
interesting
that.
idea.
Too much competition.
Way too much competition. So if this ends up being the same thing, it'll probably die exactly the same. Anyways, so don't look forward to that.
Actively
Or
not.
do. I'm not
Or
going to tell
do.
you to live
I'm not
life.
your dad.
Yeah.
All right, so we're wrapping it up here. Basically, there's a few more
On this
objects. to talk about.
Posi-cast, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what it reminded me of? You got anyone here play Section 8?
Yep.
Yes.
Dust was kind of that, except like with what, like you said, the overarching like corp structure where people in the main game could kind of give you jobs and stuff, but
Yeah, it just never really. The thing was, it never worked that great. Like nobody ever actually did anything with it. And overall, I think most of the players on Eve didn't really care about the shit that was going. Like they didn't make it worth anything in Eve to help out your people in Dust. And even though that was what they said they were going to do with it, they never actually followed through. And because they never actually followed through with it, it never, it just never felt like it was worth it.
Right. Like it would be cool if it integrated in some way. Like you could send your corp on a mission to go sabotage a thing that would make your resources more valuable in another system. But
Yeah.
but nothing
they
like
never
that
did.
ever happened.
Wasn't that the plan?
Yes.
that was the very like crux of the whole thing.
That was the whole purpose they were doing it, and they never really actually like delivered on that.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was great. That's why I'm saying don't get excited, but we wanted to talk about it because it was a thing that happened. Speaking of announcements,
Of an
Medieval. Remember Medieval Remastered?
No.
Wait, didn't that come out?
No, they
No.
announced it. And there was an announcement that there will be an announcement coming soon.
Oh, fuck off.
This is like the Dacia Sandero in Top Gear.
Yeah,
Something
teasers.
coming
Announcement
soon.
teasers.
Yeah, there's literally an announcement teaser. It was announced at the thing was it was announced on at PSX 2017, so that would have been last December. They announced that it would be coming. And in the latest Blogcast, the PlayStation Blogcast, there will be an update in the next week or two.
Or 3.
The hell is a blogcast?
It's a
They have
blogcast. Get with the times, crap.
they have a podcast. The PlayStation Blog has a podcast.
That's not.
It's
That's.
It's
Shut
called
up.
the PlayStation
Oh, boring.
Blogcast.
A
I
blog
don't
is a thing. A podcast is.
No, I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think that's a terrible name.
No, it's
I
like.
mean, this is the Prodcast
Hmm.
because of Prodchat,
I
You
don't
call
think
it
it's a
that.
terrible
You
name.
call it that. I don't call it that.
and it works. Why don't you people freaking use that? It's amazing.
I think it's fine. I think it's a fine name. But anyways, on their podcast, they said there'd be news forthcoming. So maybe next week we'll have something to talk about. Maybe
Or
we should
maybe
have
not.
maybe we should have a countdown timer to tell us about it.
No, the worst is still Square Enix with their trailer to a website with a counter to an announcement about an announcement to
Yeah, but-
a trailer for a game to.
But Bethesda did that too, for Fallout
They're all
76.
too.
Yes, they did. And speaking of Fallout 76, Rook, I like your segue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I take this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, it turns out you can pre-order an item for Fallout 76 called the Platinum Edition Prima Guide that contains a bunch of cool stuff. Digital bonuses, collector's case, art prints, journals, postcards, coasters, maps, alternate covers,
Funko
a
Pops.
guide, an actual guide. What it doesn't include for $115 is the fucking game.
Yeah,
This
no,
was
no
a
game.
big deal because Amazon did not say that. And
So-
yeah, people are notably upset.
Yeah, I would be. Funnily enough, this is not the first time this has happened in recent history, but it is just the latest in companies doing really somewhat scummy things with relation to collector's editions and really end games. If anybody doesn't remember, actually going back to the Mass Effect 3, or is it Mass Effect Andromeda? It might have been both, where they had a special edition that did not include the game, but it had like a big giant fucking statue. Or more recently, there was actually a Red Dead Redemption 2 special edition that did not include the game, which I can't find for some reason, funnily enough, anymore. It was on the GameStop website. I can no longer find it. But I can find...
something like this.
Yeah. I did find the Red Dead Redemption 2 domino set for $60. You can buy a domino set that says
Right.
Red Dead Redemption 2 on the back of each of the dominoes.
It's just like the game.
Merchandising is getting crazy.
Is it now?
Video game merchandising has been and continues to be kind of like fucking absurd.
Yeah, just a
There
little.
is some cool stuff coming out, even specifically about this. Like the Power Armor set, you get a helmet.
Yeah.
It's the iconic 51B helmet.
Yeah, I actually have the pre-order in for that collector's edition. I don't know if I'm going to keep it because I'm going to play the beta and I'm going to find out from the beta whether or not I'm going to keep it.
The Pip-Boy edition, same as Fallout 4, you get your Pip-Boy.
Yep.
Hopefully there's more stock of that because people eat that stuff up.
Yeah.
That is not something that becomes less desirable the more available you make it because people love props.
Yes. Yeah, because it's easy cosplay kit.
Right.
And it's official.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's good. They're not making bad stuff.
yeah. It definitely is. It's cool. Like, I like cool special editions. I don't like when companies take advantage of, that point.
I would almost prefer that the things like the Power Armor edition and the Pip-Boy edition were the ones that didn't have the game.
Yes.
Like having something like a strategy guide, it's natural that accompanies a game because you're going to use it. That's a limited collectability desire there, but also like it comes with maps, like literal physical maps. Do y'all remember like the Arma maps? Those were cool and they worked. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here from what the Platinum Edition contains. But like this other add-on stuff, like not everybody's going to want to pay $300 for a helmet or something like that. Just leave that aside. Set it aside as just a bonus. Maybe as an add-on. Just you buy the game and then you can add. Do you want the collector's edition?
A macro transaction.
Guide? Exactly. That would be a perfect avenue to use like that system.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And actually, one of the cool things they are doing with the like the Red Dead Redemption 2, their collector's edition that's actually including the game, it does come with a cloth world map.
Nice.
Like stuff like that's cool. Like I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree that this is kind of dumb in a way that I think most of us can agree is not cool. But it'll continue because there are companies that just do continue to do this.
Right. And it should be noted that this was not Bethesda's fault. Bethesda, the website lists this as the Prima Guide, and it says read it before buying. There's no game in here.
Yep.
But Amazon fucked it up. And because Amazon is probably going to be the primary digital distribution for this, besides Steam when it hits Steam, that really fucked it up for people.
Yeah.
And a lot of initial reaction to this, besides it being different than the other Fallout games, is going to be negative probably because of this, and it's getting a lot of press.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yep. Yeah, big bummer. All right.
That's what they call me.
Big bummer.
Big bummer.
Is it time for the Pokemon Go Minute?
Oh, that's right. I forgot, Cali. We do leave you a Pokemon Go Minute every week. So, Cali, are you ready for your Pokemon Go Minute?
Yes.
Start the timer.
All right. Some of Gen 4 is out. Not a lot. It's only like the first 15 Pokemon. Not that exciting, honestly. And also, Beldum Community Day was today. I only got one shiny after playing for 2 hours. I was upset, and I went to eat, and I was less upset. That's it.
Well, and that's been your Pokemon Go Minute with Cali.
Welcome to my world, Cali. I barely had shinies. You get like half a dozen every event. You're like, damn, I only got half a dozen.
I had the worst luck today, man.
Again, welcome to everyone else.
Whatever, I go on Facebook and see people with 20 of them. I'm upset.
No, it's actually funny because we were in Disney, and holy shit, does Disney have just a metric shit ton of Pokestops.
Yeah, I got some of those gifts.
Yeah, I've been sending them out to you guys if you're on my friends list on there. And I caught a bunch of Pokemon while I was there, which was pretty great. But it was one of those things that we got there on Sunday, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there was a shit ton of the Gen 4 starters. And we were like, what the fuck is going on? We never ended up getting a Mewtwo. We were hoping to get a Mewtwo while we were at Disney, but never.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That plan never formulated. It was 95 degrees.
I helped someone get one today. It was a good feeling.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm probably just never gonna get one, I guess. But anyways,
I'll trade you one if I ever see you again, Brennan.
Wow.
I had like 6 when we got together. You should have just asked me.
Oh, I didn't know. Fuck. Well, you probably couldn't have. You probably couldn't have because we weren't good enough friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it literally costs
you have to be like a tier 3 friend or something.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
literally costs 1 million Stardust if you're not great friends. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on that. We're almost there.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. So I think instead of having a segment of the week, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. I think we're just gonna wrap it up this week and call it because I think that's what we're gonna do. But tune in next week where we will continue on the season 4 of the VGZ podcast. I want to thank everybody who participated this evening. That includes Cali, Chibi, Rook, and Donut, who streamed for us.
Thanks, Donut.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Donut.
Love you, Donut.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so thank you guys for watching, and we will see you all next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We got content. Actually, I really thought when Rook was saying like game merchandise is dumb that we're gonna segue.
Yeah, that was my hint.
Oh.
Yeah. No, yeah. I was gonna say, Rook, I'm really loving the work
Damn.
you put in here, and then just Bren just steamrolled.
Yeah,
I
just
wasn't-
fucked it up.
Yeah, I fucked it up.
It's all right, man.
That's why I was like,